And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we are talking about a sleeper pick that maybe the Washington Commanders have a lot of interest in. And so we're going to be talking about that. And so before we go ahead and jump into the content for today, first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting a lot of receivers for many touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that like, hitting that subscribe, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. So go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so let's go ahead and jump into the content for today. And so we are talking about another NFL draft prospect that the Washington Commanders might take a chance on as the NFL draft is looming here. And so found this one on Rigo's Rag. And man, I must say that this was pretty interesting. And so the prospect that we are taking a look at here is going to be Aiden Huntington. Okay. And so look, he has played defensive line. He's played the edge. He's also played the linebacker as well. And so you're looking at a guy that could maybe be a really versatile player. And so there's not a whole bunch of highlight tapes out there that I got a chance to look at, but in the tapes that I did get a chance to look at, man, he looks pretty good. And so here's what I'm seeing as far as the metrics are concerned. So it looks like that he ran a 4.64 at his pro day. I'm seeing that he's done 30 reps on the bench, and he's also had a 38-inch vertical as well. So he's very athletic. And as far as his size is concerned, he's 6'1", 281, and he's out of Stafford, Virginia as well. And I think what really makes this intriguing is because when you go to this article that is on Rigo's Rag, what it's talking about is that he has met with the Washington Commanders. So I guess that he's been at the Washington's local pro day here, and he revealed that he had met with Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, and Ryan Kerrigan. And I guess that this is the third time that he's spoken to the Washington Commanders, which, obviously, I mean, teams are going to do their due diligence, and, you're not sure what it is until you actually see if this player is drafted or whatnot. But still, if this is true, it looks like that maybe they have a ton of interest in him. And I would say that, look, he checks the box certainly for a player that is going to really go out there and just really grind away at his craft. I think that is a lot of the stuff that I'm reading about him, is that he's an extremely hard worker. Clearly, you can see that he's versatile. And look, he's very coachable. To go to 3 different positions like that, I mean, I think that you have to be very coachable. And it looks like that it really excelled within these roles. And so I think that the first thing that I saw on the tape that I was looking at, he has some good power. I think that that's one of the things that he does well, is he generates some good power off the line of scrimmage. He always seems to be having some positive leverage on that offensive player trying to block him. And so that's a good thing when you're talking about trying to really be a disruptor. The first thing is kind of generating that power. And so next up, I think the agility is there. I think that one of the plays that I looked at, him coming around in a stunt, it looked like it was just natural bend for him. The agility is there. It's something that he's very fluent at. And so I think that is something that, look, with these complex defenses, and just with the way that Coach Witt kind of draws it up on the defensive end, I could really see from a scheme standpoint that maybe Huntington would be a very good fit here, especially as a sleeper pick that maybe the Washington Commanders would go with. And so next up, I think another thing that just really liked about his tape or highlights here was that he plays with a low center of gravity. It seems like that, look, he knows how to really kind of get underneath players. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with generating power. I think that understanding leverage, understanding pad level, I think that that's something that he really does well, is just kind of understanding leverage. And so I think that he could probably win with that. And so, when you're talking about maybe a player comparison, I kind of like maybe a Dwight Freeney kind of comparison there. It kind of reminds me of the player that used to play for the Indianapolis Colts. Very good with that spin move and getting to the quarterback. I see a lot of those similarities there. And then when you look at the tech standpoint, I could see he could really maybe excel in a 3, 5, and a 9 technique type of deal. That is essentially just looking at different techniques or just where they're kind of lining up. And so with the 3 technique, you're looking at a player that he's going to be able to line on the outside shoulder of an offensive guard. Then when you look at the 5 technique, you're looking at a player that's going to line on the outside shoulder of the offensive tackle. And then when you're looking at the 9 technique, typically what you're looking here is an outside shoulder, tight end, outside the edge type of player here. And so that fits the build, for a player that essentially is going to be setting the edge, penetrating the backfield, which I'm talking about pushing players into the backfield. And again, just being a guy that can be an edge setter at the defensive end standpoint. And with that 9 technique, you're generally turning into a pass rusher, which is something that he did well at. And so when you look at his statistics, this is where it gets interesting. He started with Kent State in 2020, went to the University of Louisiana Monroe in 2023. That was his most successful season. He had 62 total tackles in that season. He had he had 8.5 sacks in that season, and he had 3 forced fumbles. So he had an extremely successful season in 2023. That was his best season. In Tulane this last season, he had 30 total tackles. He had 19 solos there. He had 4 sacks as well, and he had 2 forced fumbles. And so I think that is one of the things that I would see in his tape is that not only does he get the sack, but he's also got the active hands to try to get the strip sack. And one of the interviews, he's talking about like he feels that he wants to be a player that can be a real momentum changer in a game. And I've talked about this before. When you're generating turnovers and you're flipping the field like that, you could imagine what that would do for the Washington Commanders, especially with the offense that we had last season. With the defense's ability to generate turnovers like this, I mean, it really can put a team into a tough situation, especially if they can't stop your offense. You're making their offense, the opposing offense, uncomfortable like this. You're flipping the field. It's just going to make it tough for a team to really keep up with this. And so I think this is going to be interesting, something that's worth monitoring. I think one of the things that is also stated into this article, they have him as a 7th-round pick, maybe. And then there's some draft boards that really have him as undrafted. But I think that, look, this guy, he has a lot of potential. He has the work ethic, and he just has that versatility that maybe the Washington Commanders would take a chance on. And even if they don't draft him, I think that, this could be a player maybe that they invite to camp and see what they get here with this guy, because I think that I loved a lot of the stuff that he's saying in his interview, has the high character and everything else that really fits the build of the Washington Commanders. And so anyway, let me know in the comments here, do you think that the Washington Commanders should take a chance here with Aiden Huntington? Do you feel like that this is a player that they should spend a draft selection on? Do you feel like that maybe this is a player that maybe not a draft selection, but you do want to take a look at what he can do in the camp and see if maybe he can win a role that way? So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And as we always say, go Commanders. I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.